you're lying down, if you feel like you're reaching for your mat, then have a very thin pillow or something, just like a towel to go underneath your head if you feel like you're reaching. So I am on a raised bed, so I'm going to just start standing beside mine, but you can stand on top of your mat. Let's stand feet hip width apart and just do a nice little check-in. So feet are hip width apart. Try to find your parallel. So think of your second toe pointing forward. And we're just going to assess our posture. So think about our weight being in the middle of our feet. We're going to stack our knees on top of our ankles. So make sure that we're not locking our knees. Equal weight between the feet. We're going to bring our pelvis to neutral. So if our pelvis is anterior tilted, or maybe the opposite if it's over tucked, we want to think about our sit bones shining straight down towards the floor. Hip bones are nice and level. And then we're going to think about our ribs on top of the pelvis. So if our ribs like to overextend or collapse, think about that neutral ribs on top of the pelvis. Think shoulders are nice and relaxed, so we want to drop the shoulders away from the ears if we're having any neck tension. Think nice and wide across the collarbones. We're looking straight forward. So even if your camera or your screen is off, I want you to be looking straight forward. Chin is lifted so that you're looking forward, not down or up. You're thinking nice and relaxed through the arms. And then I want you to think you have a ponytail on the top of your head and someone's pulling that ponytail and making you nice and tall. From there, I want you to take 3 nice deep breaths. And as you take those breaths, I want you to think about filling your rib cage. So inhale. And then exhale, just let it naturally fall. And then again, 2 more. No distracting the people. And then from there, I want you to take a nice deep inhale, really again expanding that rib cage, reaching up nice and tall, and then exhale and release. And again, make sure you're not locking those knees, equal weight through the feet. Again, inhale, nice deep breath, and then exhale as you release. We're going to add in our side bend. So big inhale, one hand's going to grab the opposite wrist, and then you're going to reach up and away. Come back to center, and then switch sides. Opposite hand grabs the wrist. Inhale as you expand up and away, and then come back to center and release. From there, we're going to go into our standing roll down. So again, double check those knees. Make sure you're not locking into the glutes or changing the pelvis. Nod the chin. Let the head and the shoulders hang heavy as you slowly roll through the spine. Really trying to get a nice round back as you roll down. Take a nice deep inhale, and then exhale, connect into your glutes as you slowly stack the spine. So what I want you to watch for is that you're not bending at the hips and keeping the back straight or going into a straight back on your way up. So again, you nod the chin, let the head and shoulders hang, try to round the back, pull the belly button up as you're rounding up and over towards the floor. Take a nice deep breath. Slowly start stacking the spine. So from the base of the spine, tailbone to head as you come back up. And we're going to do one more. Inhale, nice deep breath. Nod the chin. I always think of a little fence. I'm reaching up and over the fence and I'm pulling my belly button away so it doesn't touch me. And then exhale as you stack back up. Good. So now we're going to lie down on our mat. So we're going to find our neutral. So feet are hip width apart and knees are bent. So because you don't have someone walking around and checking your form, a few checks you can do. If you make a triangle with your pointer fingers and your thumbs, place them over your hip bones and your pubic bone. If your triangle is pointing straight up towards the ceiling and you take a peek, that is your imprint or flat back. Now if I push my tailbone down into the mat and I take a peek, my triangle should be level or parallel to the ceiling. That is where I want you to start. To double check your hip width apart, take a fist, and your knees should be a fist width apart. And that's how far apart your feet are on the floor. So you're in your neutral, and your feet are hip width apart. Inhale, just take a nice deep breath. Exhale, I just want you to think about lightly drawing in the lower abdominals. And then release. And then again, inhale, nice deep breath. Exhale, and think about drawing in those lower abdominals. And then one more. Inhale, nice deep breath. And then exhale as you lightly draw in those lower abdominals. So we're going to rock the pelvis. So from our neutral, I want you to melt the low back into the mat and then come back to your neutral. So we're just rocking the pelvis back and forth. Exhale, melt the low back into the mat. So my triangle points up towards the ceiling. And then I come back and I level out the hip bones and the pubic bone. And then again, exhale, melt the low back into the mat. Try to keep your bum relaxed, glutes are relaxed. And then come back to your neutral. Again, exhale, melt that low back into the mat. And then inhale back to neutral. Two more. And that whole time we're thinking about ribs and upper body staying nice and relaxed. We're trying to get rid of any upper body tension. And then you're going to come back to your neutral. Think about your pelvis as if it's a teeter-totter. You've got a marble in the center of your teeter-totter, and you're going to roll that marble towards one hip. So one hip just slightly pushes down towards the floor as the opposite hip comes up. My knees did not move. Come back to center. Roll the marble towards the opposite end of the teeter-totter. Again, the knees did not move. It's just a small tilt. And then come back to center. So we're just going side to side, rolling the marble towards one side, back to center, and then the opposite side. It's a very small movement, so we want to really minimize this movement. We're just trying to be able to separate the different directions that the pelvis can move. So one more on each side. And then we're going to do pelvic clock. So if you're in your neutral, neutral is your 12 o'clock. So my pubic bone and my hip bones are level. I'm going to roll the marble towards 3 o'clock. So 3 o'clock is going to tip down. Then I'm going to roll the marble to, sorry, I said that neutral was 12 o'clock. I actually mean that neutral is 6 o'clock because I'm going to roll my marble up to 12 o'clock. So I've imprinted my pelvis. That is 12 o'clock, imprint. Go to 9 o'clock. And then you come back to neutral, which is your 6 o'clock. So we go 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Hopefully I said those in order. So you're going to one side, you're tipping to one side. You flatten your back into the mat, tip your pelvis to the opposite side, and then you come to your neutral. So 2 more times in that direction. You go off to one side, flatten the low back, over to the opposite side, and then back to neutral. Tilt, imprint, tilt, and back to neutral. Then you want to go around your clock the opposite way. So if I said it right, you would go to your 9 o'clock, then your 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So to one side, imprint, opposite side, and neutral. One side, imprint, opposite side, and neutral. We'll just do one more of those to the side, imprint, opposite side, and neutral. So staying in our pelvic neutral, we're going to bring one foot up to tabletop. So you're engaging those lower abdominals and bringing that knee to 90 degrees. Make sure that tailbone stayed anchored. I want you still in your neutral. You're going to use your hand, and you're going to press your thigh into your hand, hand into your thigh, and we're going to hold for a count of 3. So you're going to press thigh and hand against each other. 2, 3, relax. Let your thigh come a little bit deeper, and we're going to do that again. Press against the hand and the thigh. 2, 3, relax. Let the thigh come a little bit deeper. Still try to keep your tailbone anchored. And then again, push against each other. 2, 3. Keep those abdominals on as you slowly lower the leg back down. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. You bring the knee up to tabletop. Hand goes against the thigh. Push the hand against the thigh against the hand, and push. 2, 3. Relax. Let the thigh come a little bit closer towards you. Keep your tailbone anchored. And again, push. 2, 3. And relax. And then again, come a little bit deeper. Keep the tailbone anchored. Push. 2, 3. And then slowly lower down. From there, we're going to go into our glute bridge. So you're starting in your neutral. Let your low back melt into the mat. Then you start to squeeze the glutes. Slowly peel the spine one vertebrae at a time up. Inhale as you take a nice deep breath. From the sternum, sink one vertebrae at a time as you slowly roll through the spine on your way down. And those hamstrings might sing. Again, tuck the tailbone. You go into your imprint. Then you squeeze the glutes. So you want to make sure you separate that. Start to slowly peel one vertebrae at a time up off the mat like a string of pearls. Take a nice deep breath. As you start to sink from the chest, think about reaching your knees away. So my knees are trying to reach away as I roll my back down towards the mat. And then I come into my neutral. And then again, tuck the tailbone, fire the glutes, peel the spine one vertebrae at a time up, staying nice and wide across the collarbones. It's okay if you're pushing your hands into the floor. Inhale as you take a nice deep breath, and then roll through the spine as you come back down. We're going to do one more of those. Tuck the tailbone, fire the glutes. Roll through the spine as you come up. I want you to stay up. Keep your feet pushing into the floor. One foot's going to come up to tabletop. And then you slowly lower down. Think about your hip bone staying nice and level. Drive through the floor foot as the opposite leg comes up. And then slowly lower down. We're going to do 2 more on each side. You can continue to push your arms into the mat as you alternate. One side, then the other. And keep pushing through that floor heel to keep the hips nice and lifted, but we want to stay nice and square. And then you're going to slowly roll through the spine as you come down, one vertebrae at a time, still reaching those knees away. And then once you're done, give your knees a good hug into the chest and kind of rock around. So from there, we're going to roll onto our side. So with your mat at home, line yourself up in a straight line on the back edge of your mat. The thing to remember is your head, because the urge is always to line up the body and tuck the head forward. So we want to make sure that we line up the head just as much, so the shoulders and the neck are neutral. You can take the bottom hand and support the head. From there, swing your legs towards the front corner of your mat. Your top hand you're going to use for stability. Make sure those lower abdominals are on. Inhale as the top leg floats up, and then nice and slow back down. And then inhale, making sure that the pelvis does not rock back. So we want to keep the pelvis and the shoulders nice and stacked. Inhale as the top leg floats up, and then nice and slow back down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. So the whole time I'm thinking about lightly drawing in my lower abdominals, even feeling like I'm trying to lift my waistline away from the floor. Inhale as I float the leg up, concentrating on the pelvis, staying nice and steady. And then exhale as you go back down. One more. And then from there, top leg's going to stay hip height. Inhale as you come forward. Exhale, squeeze the bum and draw it back. So I'm purposely focusing on that glute activation. When I come forward, I'm avoiding the upper body from rocking. So what I mean by that is Sometimes people will compensate, or they'll do the opposite. The leg goes back and the shoulder goes forward. Really concentrate on the trunk staying still as just the leg moves. So I'm really from my center, drawing those lower abdominals in, using that top hand to support me as the front leg moves forward, and then concentrating into that glute connection as I come back. Inhale as I go forward, exhale back. Inhale forward, exhale back. 2 more. And then we're going to hold that leg hip height and teeny little circles, so hot potatoes. So you're just keeping the pelvis nice and steady, teeny little circles in the hip. And then opposite direction. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then to finish, tuck the knee in towards the chest. Exhale, reach out with that leg. So again, I'm concentrating on the glute connection. So I'm reaching through my heel. I'm pushing behind me to get the posterior leg. But again, making sure that the upper body stays nice and still. Inhale as the knee tucks in. Exhale as you reach it out. Inhale as you tuck in. Exhale out. 2 more. Inhale in. Exhale out. Inhale in. Exhale out. Good. So to stretch out that hip, because hopefully it's burning, you're going to roll onto your back. The leg you just worked is the ankle that goes on the knee, and then you're going to pull it into the chest to give it a good hug. So some people do like to lift their head as they pull it in. That is fine. You can also rest the head down on the floor. So typically stretches, we want to be about 15 to 30 seconds. A nice easy way to do it is just think 3 to 5 nice deep breaths. So you're just going to relax here, nice deep breath. And think about any tight spots, just relaxing, particularly those glutes, because usually they burn. And then last breath. And then we're going to roll over to the opposite side. So I'm going to flip so that I'm still facing you. You can roll over, or you can turn your head if you want to face your screen. So again, remember, we want to line up in a straight line, and that includes the head, so no turtling the upper body. So use your arms to also help you set up the head, and then you can support it with the bottom hand. From there, swing your feet forward. Remember, hips and shoulders are nice and stacked. Lower abdominals are lightly drawn in. And then from there, inhale as the top leg floats up, and then nice and slow back down. So remember, we never want to suck our abs in. They're very softly engaged. So it should be subtle. The cue I like to use is your pants are a little bit tight, you're a little uncomfortable, and you don't want anyone to know. So you're just trying to pull your stomach away from the edge of your pants. And then that top hand is also there to give you some stability by pressing into the mat. Inhale as that leg floats up, and then exhale down. We got 1 more of these. And then we're going into our front kick. So leg stays hip height. Inhale as you reach forward. Really concentrate on the butt squeeze as we come back, but only as far as we can keep the upper body nice and still. Inhale as you go forward. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. So if you feel super coordinated, you could add in choreography with the foot, where you point the foot and flex the foot. I like to keep the foot flexed because I feel that I get a nice little stretch in the back of my leg as I front kick. So that's another option, is just keeping the foot position. Otherwise, just keep your foot nice and relaxed. Inhale as we come forward, and then exhale back. We got 1 more. And then we got our hot potato. So we stay hip height and teeny little circles while we're concentrating on keeping that pelvis nice and still. And then we're going to change direction. 2, 3, 4, 5, and finish with your karate kick. Your knee tucks in, and then kick up and out, really squeezing the back side of the leg. So inhale as I reach away, I reach through the heel, squeeze the bum. Inhale as you tuck, exhale out. Inhale in, exhale out. Inhale in. Exhale out. And remember that upper body needs to stay nice and still. And those lower abdominals are still on as we reach up and away. Inhale as you tuck in. And then exhale out. Inhale in. Exhale out. One more. So again, you can go into your figure 4 for your hip stretch. Another option is to do your pigeon. So you can bring the leg that you just worked in front, drawing it across. Think about keeping the hips nice and square. So either is an option. You can do your figure 4 or your pigeon for your hip stretch. So you're just sinking nice and deep into the hip. If you're in your pigeon, in your figure 4, you're drawing that thigh towards you. And then again, 3 to 5 nice deep breaths and just letting everything relax, trying to reduce any tension. So we're going to be lying on our stomach. If you did grab a towel or a small pillow to place underneath your head when you're lying on your back, you can also use it for underneath your forehead. Otherwise, you can use your hands. During these exercises, I might just lift my head for volume just so that you guys can hear me clearly. I'm just concerned that it will muffle when I put my head down. So upper body is nice and relaxed at the moment. I want you to curl your toes under. So trying your best to tuck your toes under and then start with your knees relaxed. I want you to reach your heels away. So as you reach your heels away, your knees lift off the mat. Your thighs may or may not. And then you're getting that glute connection as you lengthen through the back of the legs. And then again, relax. Exhale as you reach the heels away. And then lower the knees back down. So you reach the heels away, pull up on your kneecaps, so the front of your thighs might tighten, connect into your glutes, and then lower back down. 2 more. I'll turn. Okay, so that way you guys can see my feet. Reach those heels away, and then lower back down. And then reach the heels away, and then lower back down. So from there, I want you to float the head up. I want you to keep your heels reaching. And I want you to slide your shoulders away from your ears and lift the chest. And then lower back down. So I'm keeping the knees lifted, keeping the glutes activated. Float the head, peel the chest up, and then lower back down. So inhale as you float up, and then nice and slow back down. Exhale up. So my ribs are staying connected to the floor. I'm just lifting from between the shoulder blades, just above the bra strap, and then nice and slow back down. And then 1 more, and then back down. From there, bring your arms to the side of your body. So my hands are just ahead of my shoulders. Now, because I'm on a raised mat, I can't go wider, so feel free to go wider than your mat. You're going to float the head, peel the chest up, see if you can come up a little bit higher, and then lower back down. My heels are still reaching away. Float the head, peel the chest up, see if you can come a little bit higher, and then back down. And then 2 more. Exhale as you come up, and then inhale back down. Last one. And we shouldn't feel any pressure in the low back. So we want to make sure abdominals are drawing up. You're keeping those legs reaching, which is going to restrict your height. Uncurl your toes. So relax your legs. Relax your head. Keep the pubic bone pushing down into the mat and lower abdominals lifting up. Connect into the glute and lift from the hip. And then slowly lower down. And then again, exhale as you lift from the hip and then lower back down. Exhale up, inhale down. Exhale up, inhale down. 1 more on each side. And that whole time, there should be no pressure into the low back. The pubic bone stays anchored into the floor. And then I want both legs to come up. So you squeeze the glutes. Keep the pubic bone pushing into the mat as you lift the legs. And then lower back down. And then exhale up. Inhale down. Reaching nice and long. Think you got long, long legs. Barbie legs. Exhale up. Inhale down. One more. And then either reach back into your child pose or your cat, just to stretch out that low back. So either position is fine, so that you stretch out that low back. Do what feels better for your knees or your ankles. And then we will come on to our hands and knees. So hands are directly below the shoulders, knees are hip width apart. Think about lightly lifting up through your lower abdominals. And we're gonna go into our cat. So you're gonna tuck the tailbone, fire the glutes, round the back up towards the ceiling, letting the head hang. And then lengthen out, drop the belly, and lift the head. And then exhale as you round the back, letting the head hang. And then lengthen out, drop the belly, and lift the head. Two more. Exhale up, inhale out. And then exhale up, inhale out. So then you're going to come to seated position. So feet are hip width apart. Knees are bent and hands are behind your knees. So we're sitting on just behind our sit bones to start. And we're growing nice and tall from the crown of the head. We're going to roll off the sit bones and round the back. And then scoop the abdominals as you slowly stack tailbone to head. And then again, inhale as you roll back. Keep those shoulders relaxed. I know half of you probably already have them up by your ears. And then exhale as you stack tailbone to head. And then one more. Inhale back. And then exhale as we stack back up. From there, we're going to take the hands away. Inhale as you roll back. Don't worry if your feet lift. Scoop from the abdominals as you come back forward. And then again, you just go where you are comfortable. Inhale. Try to stay relaxed through those hip flexors. Scoop from the abdominals as you come forward. One more. Inhale back. And then exhale forward. So I did promise some roll-ups and neck pull. So think of all of these as a progression. So as I keep continuing from the half roll back, stay with what you're comfortable with. So we're seated nice and tall. We're going to start from the top. From the base of your spine, roll off the sit bones, one vertebrae at a time as you slowly roll down. This is the hard part, getting up. So inhale as the arms come forward, nod the chin. Big exhale, scoop, roll through the spine to come up. So I know a few legs flailed in the air, feet lifted off the floor. Options when you're at home, if you're by the couch, slide your feet underneath the couch. If you do have something heavy to put in your hands, you can put them in your hands, or you can use an elastic band if you have an elastic band and put it around your feet. So we're going to do two more. Roll back, one vertebrae at a time. Try to stay square through the pelvis. Big inhale as the arms come forward. Nod the chin. Use that exhale as we articulate through the spine and come up. So we got one more. We'll do an extra one. Inhale as we roll back. Exhale, one vertebrae at a time. So neck pull is challenging because you no longer have the arms. So I will give options. So ideally, have your hands on your forehead instead of behind your head so that you're not pulling on your neck. So from the bottom, you're going to nod the chin, peel the head and shoulders up, big exhale. If you get stuck, which I might get stuck because I haven't done these in a while, reach your arms forward Otherwise, you're going to try and keep them to your forehead. So you're going to use that big exhale and reach up and over. From here, stack the spine up so you sit up nice and tall. So I'm on the base of my sit bones. I'm going to stay tall as I hinge back and go as far as I can. Then I roll through the spine and come back down. So 2 more of these. You're going to nod the chin. Big exhale. Roll through the spine and come up. Stack the spine so we're sitting up nice and tall. From the hips, we hinge back. Try to stay nice and long. Go as far as you can. And then roll 1 vertebrae at a time back down. 1 more time. Inhale, exhale, big scoop. Stack the spine. Stay nice and long as we hinge back. And then roll off the sit bones to come back down. Good. We'll just finish with a couple stretches. So I want you to bring one leg up towards the ceiling. Take your hands and grab behind your thigh. Don't worry if your leg is perfectly straight. If you feel tension, that's all you want. Do try to pull your toes down towards you. And your hands are going to pull on your thigh as you push your thigh away. And I want you to take 3 nice deep breaths. So it's a push-pull effect. So I'm pulling with my hands, pushing with my leg, and trying to maintain that length. And then after the 3rd breath, I want you to point and flex your feet. And you might get a little singing down the back of your leg. And then from there, 3 ankle circles in each direction. And then bring that knee into the chest and give it a hug. And then we'll switch sides. So again, we're going to lift the opposite leg up into the air. Hands behind the thigh. Pull the thigh towards you as you push your thigh away. 3 nice deep breaths. And then 3 point and flex. And then when you finish 3 point and flex, 3 ankle circles in each direction. And then again, bring that knee into the chest and give it a hug. And then take your time, come up. And we're just going to finish with 1 standing breath again. So I want you to come back up to standing, reassess your posture, compare it to the beginning. Hopefully you feel a little bit looser. So feet are hip width apart. Second toe is pointing straight forward. Again, making sure we're not locking into our knees. Upper body's nice and relaxed, wide across the collarbone. Nice deep breath into the back and the sides of the lungs. And then exhale and release. And then again, 1 more time. Inhale, nice deep breath. And then exhale, release.